Well, I was tagged by Sparkles, Robbie, over at Frecky Fit Wolf, and it's a get to know me tag. I love doing tags. Anybody wants to tag me, tag. I'm it. I love it. I just love it. I still have to do my tag for Lainey over at Lainey's Life. She did something about fall. So I got to do that one. I'll probably do that one tomorrow. But I got to get crack-a-lackin', as I like to say. So let's get to know me. Let's get to know me a little bit better. I'm sure you all know everything anyhow, but we'll see. Because as my family says, I don't have an edit button. I don't see what the purpose of it is. But anyway, the first question is, what does your name mean? My name is Sandra, but the only people in my life, there's only 3 people in my life that I've allowed, without giving them a correction, to call me Sandra, is my father. You don't have a choice. Jim, because he just did it to annoy me at first, and then no. It's just, if I know something's going to bother me, if you know that something's going to bother me, you're just going to keep picking at it, so I just let it go. Although that I don't really, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really let it go because I don't like being called that. And then my cousin Michael. Michael can call me Sandra. And he even knows nobody else can call me Sandra, just him. But what does your name mean? I had to look it up because I wasn't really sure. And boy, my parents must have known this because my name is the derivative of Cassandra, which is a derivative of Alexander, which means protector of man. I am the oldest in my family. I am now the matriarch of my family. And so I really kind of hold the family together. I have the family dinners here. I have the holidays here. I keep the calendar of everybody's birthdays and anniversaries of their deaths. And I remind people. So I guess I'm don't ever mess with anybody in my family because I am a protector, that's for sure. So I think they picked a good name for me. Although I'm not really, I like Sandy, but Sandra, not so much. Where are you from? I am originally from Detroit. I've lived almost my whole life in Detroit. I was born in 1950, and I lived in Detroit until 1986. And then we originally moved to Clinton Township because Jim was working a little bit farther north of Detroit, so we wanted to get something a little closer to his work, and because most of his jobs were north of Detroit. And then as soon as we moved north of Detroit, all of his jobs were south of Detroit. So, and then we moved out here in Chesterfield, New Baltimore area. I moved out here in 2006, so I've been here ever since. Where were you born? I was born in Mount Clemens, Michigan, and the hospital is still there. I don't know that it's open now that I'm thinking about it, but the actual building itself is there, but I don't think it's not a hospital anymore, but it might be like a nursing home or something, but the original building is still there. It should be like a shrine. They should have like a little plaque in front of it. Sandra was born, no, not Sandra. Sandy was born here. What would your name have been if you were a different gender? Oh, as much as I don't like Sandra, my father wanted to name me Bruce. My sister's husband's name was Bruce. No. Do I look like a Bruce? I mean, I know I get mistaken for a man a lot. And I know it's the haircut, and I know it's the way I look, and I don't get offended by it. If I had $1 for every time somebody thought I was a man and not a woman, I could retire. Well, I am retired. I could eat out a lot more than I do. I get mistaken for a man quite often, and I don't get offended at all. What is your biggest accomplishment so far in life? Well, you know what? I'm 69, so. But my biggest accomplishment is I've overcome my fear of being alone. I think they call it monophobia or autophobia, something like that. I have had a fear of being alone most of my life. I've had convulsions when I was younger, and I had a convulsion in school one time, and I had left the classroom because I could feel it coming on, and I got suspended, and my mother went over to the school and raised holy hell because she knew that I would have been embarrassed if people would have. Nobody wants to see somebody in a convulsive state. And then right after that is when I really got the phobia that I didn't want to be alone. I was always afraid I was going to have a seizure, and it was terrible, my growing up. When Jim and I got married, we had an upper flat that was probably about 5 miles from my parents' home. And in the morning, I would get up and with Jim from work, when he went for work, and go to my mother's house to spend the day. And then when Jimmy was born, I would pack up all my stuff. I had a little nursery at my mother's house, and I had a nursery at my house, and I never would be alone. If we were shopping and you were looking at the socks on this rack, and then you wanted to walk over 5 feet to the shirts on that rack, I would leave the socks and go with you to the shirts because I couldn't stay there alone. And so I think my biggest accomplishment is overcoming that, because now I love being alone. What color are your eyes? They're hazel. You can't tell though, but they're hazel. Your favorite candle scent? I don't really burn a lot of candles. I'm not really into a candle burning, but if I had to pick a favorite scent, it would be cinnamon. I love cinnamon. And I love vanilla too, now that I think about it. But cinnamon or vanilla. Can you cook? Oh my Lord, yes I can. I am a very good cook. Not to brag, don't break my arm, but I can make a meatloaf, but you won't want to eat my meatloaf. You could eat it, but you know, if you had Jim's meatloaf and you had my meatloaf, you'd eat Jim's meatloaf, because it's just, some things you just got to know how far you can go. I have been told that I'm a pretty good cook. I'm really good at timing of when I'm cooking. I can time it out so that everything is ready at the same time, and I pride myself on that. My children, I taught how to cook as soon as they could be in front of a stove. They learned how to cook, and my son Dan actually is the cook for his family. His wife doesn't cook, so when Danny gets home earlier too in that regard. So, but Danny cooks for his family. But all my kids, I only got 3, but all 3 of my kids can cook really well. What is good about your life right now? I think what's good about my life is my family and the fact that I'm losing weight. And I was looking for a picture for the beginning of this video, and I don't know how I found it, but I found a picture of me. I'm humongous. I'm actually, there's like, boom, 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 boom. I'm just huge. And so I think what's going good about my life is that I'm back exercising, being more health conscious, being more aware of my life around me, and just being there for my family. What's your sign? I'm Virgo, the Virgin, which is funny in itself. I am a virgin. I was a virgin when I got married, but there's a story to that. I don't need to share because my family will say TMI, TMI. But anyway, what scares you about aging? Well, I'm 69, so right there I'll tell you that my aging process is really like in full bloom right now. My goal is to live at least another 20 years. I'd like to shoot for 31 if I'm healthy. If I can still get around, I'd like to hit 100. I really would like to hit 100, but 20 years. But the thing that scares me about aging is being dependent on somebody. I don't like being dependent on. My son-in-law gets upset with me because like he'll try to do stuff for me, and when we were up on vacation, he kept trying to do stuff for me, and then he got to the point, oh, don't try to help her. She doesn't want help. It's not that I don't want help. It's just that I just. If I ask for help, I really need help. I don't want to be one of these people like, oh my God, she needs help again. I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be the person that, if I ask you for help, I really, truly need your help. Your favorite holiday is by far Christmas. I do a video every year to show you how I've outdone myself from the year before on my Christmas decorating. I don't think I'm going to do as much decorating as Joan over at Joan's Point and Plate, because she told me she puts up like, I think she said 8 or 10 or 12 trees. I thought I was doing good when I was putting 2 trees up, but no, I can't wait to see her Christmas decorations, because I started following her after Christmas last year. So I'm looking forward to that. And every year I say I'm not going to spend a lot of money. Every year I say, okay, pick out one big gift because that's all you're going to get. And then my kids know, my grandkids now know that you're not going to be able to walk into the room because I'm going to have so much stuff for them. And I loved having my couples dinner. I like having people over for holiday dinners. I just love everything. Everything about the holiday. I love it. I love that it's Christ's birth. I love the church. I love everything. Although I don't go to church, I don't go to services on Christmas. I do not attend a Christmas service mass. Only because I feel so unchristian when I go to that Christmas mass, because I get so aggravated at the people that our church, we call them CEOs, Christmas and Easter only. because the church is packed on Christmas and Easter. Those are the 2 holidays that I do not go to church. I do not go to Mass. I get very aggravated at the people that are just in there like thinking it's a holiday party, and they're talking about, so-and-so made the best apple pie, and I can't wait till we get here, and the kids are running around and they're not paying attention, and they're noisy, and they're not noisy like babies crying. They're just noisy that they're old enough that if they were in school, they would be behaving better. And like I'm telling you all of this, I'm realizing how unchristian like that sounds. And so that's why I even forgot how I got onto that. I don't know why I got on that subject. But anyway, let's move on because I don't know where I'm going with that. Guilty pleasure. My guilty pleasure. I don't know that I have a guilty pleasure. All my pleasures are really pretty happy to me, but guilty pleasure. My guilty pleasure is looking forward to my birthday rather, and having my turtle cake. I could very easily buy a turtle cake once a month, slice it up into pieces, put it in the freezer, and eat a piece every day. I love that cake that much. But my guilty pleasure would be to just to eat my favorite candy or eat my favorite foods, and without guilt. And I do that on the weekends. So that's my guilty pleasure. What current shows do you binge watch? I'm currently watching, which I'm saving them up because I just love it, is Mr. Mercedes on the Audience channel, which is a Stephen King novel. This is the 3rd season. I love that show. And the other show that I binge watch, which starts Friday, is on Amazon, is Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton. And on Netflix, I binge watch Frankie and Grace, or Grace and Frankie. I think it's Grace and Frankie. I binge watch that. And also binge watch Lucifer. So Jim and I like to wait until there's a whole bunch of episodes, and then we try to watch them all at one night. What item can't you ever leave the house without? My phone. I have to have my phone. I have to be in contact with my whole inner scope of people, and they have to get a hold of me, because if they, especially when I'm alone, if Jim's not here, and if they try to call me on the house phone, and then they try to call me on my cell phone, if I don't answer, then they call Denise and have Denise send somebody over to make sure that I'm not laying on the ground or laying on the floor. So I have to be able to answer because they worry about me. Are you a morning person or a night owl? I am both. I don't go to bed before 2:30 in the morning. I don't get up usually till 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. But if I had to go to bed at 2 and get up at 5 or 6, I could very easily do that. And I am a morning person. I've always been a morning person, whether I've stayed up all night or just got up. I guess I'm an oddity, I guess. What's your favorite genre for movies? I love comedies. They're my favorite. To find a comedy that you might not think that anybody would like. I remember when we went and saw My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Nobody ever heard of it, and I thought it just looked funny. And my family loved it. My sisters and I and my mother had gone. We just loved it. The last thing you bought. Okay, this is really out of my comfort zone. I bought a size 18 pair of blue jeans. Not blue jeans, like denim jeans, but blue jeans. And they're called Coastal Blue. And they're like blue. They're bluer than this blue. They're blue. And I don't like to wear anything bigger on the bottom or like bright on the bottom because I go out. And I don't like to draw attention to it. So I usually wear black or brown or gray. So I bought them and I couldn't believe that I did. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Well, if you know me, you know the answer to this question. I am definitely an extrovert. I am too much so that I'm obnoxious, I think, sometimes. I think I drive people crazy. I've been accused of being an interrogator because I ask so many questions, and I just do that to draw you out so that I could know a little bit more about you, because I think I'm a pretty open book. Anyway, those are the 19 questions that Sparkles had asked me to answer, and so there you go. And I am going to tag 3 people. I'm going to tag Kathy over at Kathy's WW Journey, Valerie Reese, because Valerie's just moved into her new home. I think she's a little settled down now, so maybe I can catch her before her next trip. I think she's going to Aruba. One of these times, Valerie, one of these times, I'm going to shock you and show up. And also, I'm going to do Unstuffing MaryAnn Dunham. So those are the three I'm going to tag. And look for me later on this week. I got another tag from Laney's Life that I'm going to do. But anyway, thank you, Sparkles. Thanks for asking me to do this tag. And hopefully you guys got to know a little bit more about me. If there's anything else you want to know about me, leave them in the comments below. I'll do another video, and I'll answer any questions that you want within, reason that my family won't think that I'm sharing too much. But I don't have a problem sharing my journey. I don't have a problem sharing my life. I don't have a problem sharing things about me. So just ask, and I'll answer. So give this video a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and share.